Welcome to this week's episode of Baseball Family. Today we have changes in broadcast rights, rule changes, and WBC roster updates right now.
9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast, Baseball Family. I am Brad, and I am here with our fearless captain, Mr. Brig is on my left. How are you this evening, Brig?
I'm on the left. I'm great.
Good. We are recording on a special Valentine's Day Eve. Last year I took this off because it was on my birthday. This year it's on my birthday Eve. So yeah. I'm here, ready to go.
But we have to sing Brad happy birthday. So ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, anyway.
Okay. All right. I was going to try and drag that out as long as you'd let me. All right, never mind.
Okay, so first things first. Football is over. The Super Bowl has happened. And that means the baseball is next. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting to spring training this week, which means that position players will be reporting a little later on this week. And if you live near spring training facility like I do, head on over to the backfields and see some players and see some things going on, or take your trip down to Arizona or Florida and go see some baseball players.
Yeah.
So there we go. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited for this new season. This is the first full season I guess we had a full season in 2021, didn't we? I mean, like we had our full season last year, but it's like our full first regular schedule season. But this is the first time we've had a full season to go off regularly scheduled with fans since 2019.
I know.
That's crazy.
And it happens to fall with competition because of the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Which is bizarre. So it's another weird thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is very weird. But I'm very happy about it, very excited. So get your tickets to your game. I already have tickets to a spring training game, Bray.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited about it. Okay.
I'm excited for you. So
now the baseball season is getting ready to start. Here's something that's interesting that's happening. There's been a lot of news about Diamond, the company that owns the Bally Sports Networks, has filed for bankruptcy. Now, what does that mean for baseball, Brig? Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what that means for baseball.
Didn't know if you were asking me.
I'm going to answer my question for me.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, what that means is that those teams who were A, getting money from Bally, and B, were having their games broadcast, they don't have anywhere for that to go, right? They don't have the money coming in, which is a huge problem. That is a significant problem that baseball doesn't have the money coming in. However, Major League Baseball has said that they are prepared to take over the local broadcasts. Oh,
that could be huge.
It could be huge with a capital U.
Yeah,
like, absolutely
huge.
Yes. So real quick, these are the teams that had their games broadcast by Bally. It was Arizona, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, the LA Angels, Miami, Milwaukee, Minnesota, St. Louis, San Diego, Tampa Bay, and the Texas Rangers. All were on Bally networks. So what that means is that if Major League Baseball takes those over, then those games will have to be streamed or played somewhere, right? Right. Gonna have to stream them on MLB TV, which means no blackouts because they don't have the broadcast restrictions. Yes!
Boom!
This is the first step in the right direction, Brig.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, unfortunately, the company went over, and that's a lot of money. It's like $1 billion that Major League Baseball is missing out on. But this is a huge step in the right direction for baseball and baseball fans, because our friend Zip, I've talked to him about this. He's like, I'm trying to put money in Rob Manfred's pocket, but he won't let me.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and you talked about the implications financially for all these teams. Atlanta is going to suffer arguably the least, but the rest of these are small to mid-market teams. And some of them really, really need that broadcast revenue really bad.
Right.
So if Major League Baseball takes over, I don't know what they're going to do without increasing the cost of MLB TV. And that we're going to see maybe trickle down. Obviously, it's not going to be enough to make up, probably, because they're not going to bump it more than $10 or whatever.
Right.
If they
Yeah.
do, we'll have a different problem to be discussing shortly. But I'm trying to decide, like, where is the financial puzzle piece going to start? How are they going to do that? And I don't know.
Well,
I'm
one thing
worried.
you do have to think about though is that they're going to automatically get more subscribers. Is that MLB TV will automatically get more subscribers because all the people who live around where I live who didn't have MLB TV because they're like, well, why would I? I can't watch the Diamondbacks on it. I have
Right.
it because I can watch the Mariners, right?
Yeah.
But now, like, so many people I know around here are going to be like, yeah, I'll get MLB TV. Now, not only can I watch the Diamondbacks, but I can watch every team,
Right.
right? Or just get the single team package so they can just watch the Diamondbacks. Like, that's fine too.
Totally.
But MLB TV subscriptions are going to go up.
They're going to go up. It has to.
And I think that is one way that this is really going to help. And then they've got to, obviously figure out some rev sharing process with that they can disperse some of this money to those teams so they can use that. But anyway, no, I think this is a huge step in the right direction, though. I think that we're going to see some dominoes start to fall. That this was almost like a necessary evil. This had to happen for the problem to be fixed eventually.
I agree. And we're all going to have to deal with some of the lesser of the evils for a while. And I think an increased subscription cost could be part of that. Very likely. But there will probably be other hidden or unforeseen consequences of this that are going to have to trickle down to our level at the fans. But I bet if we suck it up a little bit, it is better in the long run.
Right. And it's interesting though, because like we talk about we've talked before about how some of the owners kind of need to take a hit, or some of the players kind of need to take a hit for the betterment of the rest of the league.
That's
As
a great
fans,
good,
we almost need to take a hit of like, okay, MLB TV is going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's so that other people can watch it too. So I guess we kind of have to, I don't know,
take our own medicine.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Take our own medicine.
We could do that. We
Yeah.
could do that. I'll carry that banner for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
I'm excited about Atlanta fans because all the way down here, there's this huge, like the entire Southeast region is dominated by Braves broadcast. And so for like 2 or 3 states over in any of the cardinal directions.
Well, the Kansas City fans have got to be loving this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, it's going to be a big deal. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. All right. In other news, speaking of TV broadcasting, Derek Jeter. Did you hear this, Brig? This was pretty recent. I heard about this tonight. Derek Jeter is going to be joining MLB on Fox starting this season. As a Derek Jeter and Yankee fan, how do you feel about this, Brig?
There's a meme of Jonah Hill going like this. That's kind of how I feel. Although I will say that for those of you listening, that was my very excited face, and I was spinning around. For those of you that watched the announcement that they made when they brought Derek Jeter onto the floor and he was given the little jersey, it was A-Rod was there, and so it'll be interesting to see the dynamic between the two of them working together, because they let A-Rod present Derek with the jersey. It's a pinstripe jersey. It's got the Fox logo where the Yankees logo would be. It's got the number 2 on the back. It was pretty classy overall. However, you could feel there was a certain amount of like, I don't know. Was
there a little bit of tension?
I thought there was, but I can't decide if I was building that up in my mind because I'm so familiar with the history, or if it was genuinely there. I'm totally willing to accept that I was the one projecting that onto the situation. And I'm also willing to accept that there was some tension there. I don't know.
We want there to be tension. That makes for really good TV. If there's tension in that broadcast. Like,
we do.
That would be a lot of fun. Could you imagine them sitting there and just like the backhanded compliment or comments that Derek Jeter's making in A-Rod's direction, just because he's not the consummate TV professional that A-Rod's been over the last few years?
Exactly. It's going to be interesting to see because A-Rod really has filled that role and has done a terrific job for the most part. I know a lot of guys and gals hate him. A lot of the fans just hate him because they like to hate him. But he's a great analyst. Like his insights into the game are
really smart. Yeah, really insightful. Yeah,
his baseball IQ is fun to listen to.
One thing that I'm looking forward to is not having the polished interview Derek Jeter. Right. Hopefully, we get to see a different side of him. I want to see him maybe lay into some guys, be brutally honest about some people, maybe even some people who he knows and is like good friends with, because that's one thing they talk about. like on Dan Patrick, they talk about this all the time. Like guys have a hard time or don't want to go into the booth. They don't want to go into broadcasting because they don't want to criticize their friends. Right. Or like they have former coaches and they're like, I still have a really good relationship with him. I can't criticize him. It's like, well, you got to be honest.
Right.
You can't sugarcoat it. And so I'm really looking forward to, I want to hear some things that Derek Jeter has to say about people who are in the league, maybe people he's known, and just be like, that guy doesn't work hard at all. That's why he's struggling. It's like, oh, shoot.
Because he would. I think if you took the gloves off, that's the kind of thing he would say.
Yeah.
And he would be really flat like that. Just like, I don't know. He doesn't work hard. He never has. Maybe it's still happening. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that would be super interesting. It'd be interesting to hear him talk about his former teammates. Like if Girardi showed up on the scene and he had to, analyze this game in progress and Girardi's making weird decisions. If he's like, come on, Joe. Come on, man. Like, what's going on?
Or somebody he traded in Miami,
Yeah.
That's why we traded him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that would be interesting.
Really?
Yeah, right? I don't know. Either way, I'm excited about it. Obviously, the more Jeter I get, the better I feel.
Right.
But that's my homer pick, so it's not a big deal. It's great.
It'll be fun. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
But going away from TV, but to the front office, Carlos Beltran is back in baseball, not in the booth. We thought maybe he was, because he was doing games for the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
We thought maybe he was kind of in line to get a job with the Yankees, but he's back with the Mets. He's in the front office. He is assistant to the GM, not assistant GM. He's assistant to the GM.
Right. Yeah, he sure is.
There. Yeah.
He's going to get a mustard colored shirt too.
Is he?
He better.
He has to. Maybe some glasses, grow out his hair a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
But if he's like me, he can't. He's gonna get.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Anyway. What do you think of this hire, Brig? I think it's a good move. I think honestly he deserves to be there. He's done his time for the crime, everything. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, and if the Yankees weren't gonna give him a better opportunity than, which I think is kind of sad, and I think the Mets are in a position, at least they're behaving as though they'll do whatever it takes. They don't care anymore. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, what short of maybe just a couple of bullet points on that resume that are a little poo-poo, short of anything egregious, I think they'll pull you in if they think you can help.
I think so too. I think that Cohen he's all about winning. He doesn't care what it's going to take. Yeah, are you going to cheat? Maybe not, just because we'll get in trouble and it'll be tainted.
Yeah.
Well,
no asterisks.
Get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll bring in guys who have, but we don't want you doing it while we're here. Maybe.
I think it's a baseball IQ thing. I think it's a personnel management and camaraderie, cohesion thing. I think he's going to pull a lot of guys from the Latin world under his wing and is going to be a great influence there. And I want to see the impact that this has on, their downline, like all their international signings and recruiting and scouting processes and stuff like that. That's going to be interesting. I don't know what his official title or workload is. Obviously, we don't have that information, but I can see these things rippling out.
Yeah, it definitely could. I think that there will be some kind of impact felt, at least in the clubhouse, at the very least, because he's going to have access to the clubhouse. He can go in there and he can yuck it up with everybody. And from what I understand, everybody likes the guy.
Yeah, that's all I know. So, unless he's broadcasting, and then there's a lot of hate.
Well, nobody likes broadcasters. So especially, this is the thing that drives me crazy, is that the player is there for the fans. But the fans hate all the former players. Like, what's he doing? He's not bringing anything. It's like he's actually bringing a lot to it, but he's not polished in the world of broadcasting, so it doesn't sound the way that the other guy does. So that's what you don't like.
I gotta go with the homer pick again and tell you there are two exceptions to that rule, and the premier exception is David Cohn.
Well, yeah,
Paul O'Neill does a great job.
Speaker anyway, though.
Yeah, Paul O'Neill does a pretty good job. He's got some verbal tics that kind of drive me crazy, but and they're the same every time, so I know when they're coming and I kind of tune them out.
Yeah.
But David Cohn, David Cohn has not once let me down in the booth. Not one time have I been disappointed in anything he has said.
Yeah. The one of the guys I like a lot, I like Mike Blowers. Mike Blowers does a great job for the Mariners. Dan Wilson does a really good job, but also I'm a huge Dan Wilson fan, so I'm kind of like bias in that,
Sure.
but he brings a lot of really good insight. And it's funny because if you talk to most, I don't know about most, but a lot of Mariners fans, you would think that the players should be doing the entire broadcast, should be doing the play-by-play, and that some of the broadcasters, like a lot of people don't like Dave Sims.
Really?
I think he's fun though.
He's great. Yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
great.
And like, and this is the thing that I think people don't like about him is that he messes up names and stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, he's old, first off. Also, the season is really long. Like, you gotta forgive
Yeah.
that stuff in baseball, especially. I feel
Right.
like. So, anyway,
That's what old boy John Sterling does. He just gives them nicknames. So he doesn't have to worry
well,
about
why
it
not?
anymore.
Why not?
It's so
Nobody
funny.
cares.
No,
He's
like,
this is
no,
the thing.
no, no.
This is the thing. You're watching the game. You know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Forget it. Like, who cares? I
Yeah.
was in a class one time and my professor was talking. He was talking about how he's like, I was at a football game and the guy in the booth, instead of just saying, because he's like, instead of just saying tackled for 10-yard loss, second and 20, whatever, he's like, he was given a play-by-play like, oh, he's in pursuit in the backfield or he hands it off. He's like, I'm sitting here watching the game. I can see what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of how I feel about TV. It's like, I can see what's happening. I don't really need a whole lot of play-by-play.
Right. No, I need commentary. I need color.
Yeah. Like, how did that happen? Well, what was he doing?
Why?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But no, it's funny. But I digress. Anywho, so I don't want to talk about arbitration because we've been talking about it a lot lately, but I do want to talk about two guys and their arbitration cases.
Okay.
I want to talk about Kyle Tucker and Max Fried.
Okay.
Both guys went into arbitration. Both guys lost.
Right.
Okay. We've been talking about how we don't like arbitration. It's a flawed system. Bo Bichette said the exact same thing.
Yep.
Said that it's bad for the game. And I fully agree with him. It's absurd. But this is what happened with Kyle Tucker and Max Fried. Kyle Tucker went in and said that he wanted $7.5 million. The Astros came in and said, no, we're going to give you $5 million. So after arbitration, he leaves getting $5 million.
Right.
Max Fried says, I want 15. The Braves say, no, we're going to give you 13.5. Arbitration, he leaves getting 13.5. Brig, what are these teams doing? Kyle Tucker, I feel like could be a freaking MVP candidate every year, just about.
Yeah.
The dude doesn't miss games. He's clutch as all get out, ice in his veins. He comes through every time they need him to. I don't think he's ever committed an error that I've seen. Like
it would be hard to find one, probably.
The dude's a killer, like straight up.
Look.
And Max Fried is an outstanding pitcher. He's an all-star, and they're going to be like, no, we're going to go down $1.5 million. 13.5 is the best we can do. No, like, what are these teams doing with these guys?
That's what kills me, is how narrow the margin is. And you got guys like that you want to keep happy, where morale, is a factor. Duh.
Yeah.
Why would you do anything short of something outside your value system to make these guys turn them against you at all? Now, I realize that you don't get to be in that position of authority in terms of money without pinching pennies and being frugal.
Right.
I get that, but there has to be a time where the juice is worth the squeeze on sucking it up for what amounts to be a very small amount of money in the ballpark we're talking.
The grand scheme of things, yeah. Like, especially Fried with $1.5 million, 13.5 to 15. Come on now.
Even 2.5 with Tucker.
Right. And I can see, like, relatively speaking, like, that's like half of what they're getting on top of it, or what he's getting on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, though, $2.5 million for a guy like Kyle Tucker with the amount of production he gives you is not that much money. He's giving you way more than $5 million in production. You're being cheap. And I don't know if I worry too much with Tucker, because I would love to see him leave and maybe come to Seattle.
That'd be great.
But sometimes I wonder, like, how much of the relationship isn't fractured, because I remember we talked about that before. I think it was Derek Jeter said that it was never the same after his arbitration.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird to me, and it is so bad. It is so bad for it all. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating as a fan to watch teams be. It's not even frugal. It's cheap. You
want to know how many errors Kyle Tucker has committed?
I would love to know.
across 5 seasons.
How many?
20.
Across 5 seasons?
5 seasons. So
four a year in the outfield is not bad.
in 2018, there were 2. In
How many
20
did?
or
Okay, go
4,
ahead.
I mean 4. In 2018, there were 4. In 2019, there were 1, 2. 2020, there were 3, 4. 4 in 2020. Looks like there were 12 in 21. I don't know what happened there.
It was a rough year. Guy can have a
And
down year.
then there were between general outfield and right field, there's 16 in 22.
Oh, dang.
Maybe that's what they're seeing.
Maybe they feel like his fielding is digressing, but his offense has been improving, hasn't it?
Yeah, but he's also playing more games progressively every year.
There you go.
That's what's happening is he's getting way more time in the field.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like he's getting robbed. But anyway, we talked about Bo Bichette a little bit about how he feels about arbitration. Well, he's not going to have to deal with it because he got a 3-year deal worth $33.6 million. That's going to buy out his arbitration years. He'll be set till free agency. Yeah. Do you feel like, Brig, once free agency comes, do you think that the Blue Jays are going to be able to keep all these guys together?
Not all of them. No way. Do you?
I don't know. Because Kevin Biggio hasn't turned out to be quite the guy we thought he was going to be. Like he's still fine, right? But he's not Bo Bichette. He's not Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So
in that order,
right?
Like, that's how the ranking works too.
I know, and it's crazy because Bo Bichette's so dang good. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm curious who's going to be the odd man out. I think that they are eventually going to have to extend both Bichette and Vladdy.
Here's what I think is going to happen. If the Blue Jays are able to piece together some terrific seasons between now and that 3-year mark, between now and those guys making free agency, and they're either succeeding or really close to that finish line, then those guys could be Blue Jays forever. But if the ship begins to sink over the next 2 or 3 years and things go sideways, then they'll never be Blue Jays again. Except for Vlad. I'll bet they keep him forever.
They could.
I'll try to.
Yeah.
I can see a bidding war for Guerrero, but I think Bichette walks. If the Blue Jays take a dive over the next couple seasons, Bichette's gone. And then Vlad, they're going to give him a bag no matter what happens. That's my prediction.
I like that prediction. That's good. I wonder if they would trade Bichette 2 years into this deal if things start to go sideways.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because that's a pretty friendly deal, and somebody buys an expiring contract, he could really contribute for somebody.
And then it's a prove yourself year for whoever gets picked up by, and then, shamalama ding dong, now he's getting a bag. By the team that picked him up.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about new rules coming into the 2023 season.
Welcome, baseball family. We are back, and we have some new rules going into the 2023 season for Major League Baseball. It is exciting to have something to be very upset about. So we're going to get into Wouldn't you say that's pretty accurate there, Brad? Some of it's great.
It depends on the rule.
Some of it's great. Some of it I continue to be irate about. I've only had about 24 hours to be as angry as I am right now. And by the time this comes out, it will be at a clean 40 hours or so. And so here we go.
Even though you sound, hold on. I do think you sound pretty zen with all this stuff right now, though. Or is that why you centered yourself?
Yeah,
before?
That's why I centered my chi, but bro. Did you see? You saw that?
I noticed. Yeah. I pay attention.
Well, good. Outstanding. The video helps. Okay. You learn a lot in life. Okay. Anyway, baseball family, new rules for the season have been announced. Some of them will be permanent. Some of them are being tested. We don't know all the way how they're going to fall. But with that being said, the first one that we should celebrate and beginning on a very, very high note is that there will be no more shift. The shift is gone for this year.
Yes.
The stipulated rules are 2 infielders are required to be on either side of second base, like it's supposed to be.
Right.
And all infielders must be within the outer boundary of the infield, which means on the dirt, when the pitcher is on the rubber.
Right.
And we're back.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, because somebody brought up at the end of last season, like right when the season ended, somebody said, no more shift. But think about this for a minute. I can't remember who it was who said this. Like, not every infield has the same dimensions
Right.
of the dirt. But that's not a whole lot different than, like, if you had all your outfielders and you wanted to spread them out to the warning track, that's not going to be uniform across the league either.
Right.
So I guess it doesn't really, it's fine, because it is what it is.
It's going to be fine.
But yeah,
for me, it's a dimensionality thing. It's like zones. I don't know. I just like it. I like it because I'm old school, but I also like it because it's going to benefit certain players' careers. I like it because it's going to probably, hopefully, reinvigorate small ball and give us a much more consistent, like bang bang plays and dragging a bunt and this kind of stuff that I think makes baseball far more interesting and exciting. When launch angle isn't the only way to win.
Yeah.
So
the thing I like about it, though, is that, like, everybody used to be like, just hit the ball the other direction, right? Just hit the other direction.
Learn how to hit the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I guarantee you, every single one of these guys growing up knew how to hit the ball the other direction. Yeah. In high school, they could spray across the entire field. That's why a lot of them hit 450, 500 or whatever in high school. But you get into the major leagues, it's hard to hit major league pitching, right?
Yeah, right.
Much less like hit it directionally. Guys like Ichiro are an anomaly. Guys who can do that. And, like, I understand it's like, well, they used to teach it. Yeah, well, baseball was different back then.
It was.
The babe used to also live off of beer and hot dogs, but we've also found that's not conducive to a long and healthy career in the current status of, like, the current game, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know if I believe you, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Your rhetorical goals are being supported right now.
So, but I don't know. I just feel like it's like, okay, the game has changed. Yeah. Players are hitting differently. You're more entertained when they make contact, right? So there we go. They're doing something right. So give them a break about hitting the ball the other direction. Some guys were bunting down the line for a double. That was very exciting, but it didn't happen all the time because teams were still willing to give that up.
Yep. Well, and it sucks when the defense doesn't care. Like, it's one thing to sit and analyze and bash the guy at the plate. But if you focus on the defense and how lazy they are when the shift doesn't go their way, it's absurd. It drives me nuts when you watch a third baseman looking to his left and a shortstop who's supposed to be there looking to his right, and there's 19 feet of dirt in between the two of them or more, and there's a huge gap. You can drive a semi-truck through the hole, and they just sit there and stare at the outfielder like, go get it, bro.
Yeah.
It's like that is not even fun to watch. The whole energy kind of like, it's ruined. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. The, like, balls down the line, like down the third base line when the infield is shifted all the way over, like,
yeah,
everybody's jogging to the ball. Like, well, they're conceding the double. I understand conceding the double, but at the same time, they'll, like, make it look like you're trying not to let him get a triple.
Yeah. No, it's bad.
But anyway. But
I hate
this also feels a lot more like the rule that's been in place since the beginning of time, where all position players, except for the catcher, of course, have to be in fair territory with the pitch. Yeah. So I think the logic behind it makes sense. So I think it's good. I think it's a good rule.
I like it. I'm excited about it. Moving on, the pitch clock has made its way to Major League Baseball. It has passed the AAA review, and it will now be used in Major League Baseball, and there are some stipulations about it. So for those of you wondering, here's how it goes. With no runners on, the pitcher will have 15 seconds to throw the pitch. If there's a runner on, he has 20 seconds to execute the pitch, right? And I like that they did a variation situationally.
Right. It makes sense.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty forward thinking, and it shows that they're like, this is one very small, but I think very important piece of evidence that they care, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of, like, Major League Baseball gets a lot of guff about not caring about the game and not representing it well or respecting it or whatever. And I think this is a great indication that they do care, that they are paying attention, that they're taking things in a very thoughtful direction.
Right.
Not always, but in this case.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is one
encouraging.
thing. This is one thing that I feel like initially when I heard about the pitch clock, I was like, that's stupid. That's a terrible idea. You can't put a clock on pitchers, right? And there's a
Yeah,
couple things with this. First off, like basketball is better with a shot clock.
for sure.
So much better with a shot clock. Football is better with a play clock, right?
Way better. Yep.
Why wouldn't baseball be better with a pitch clock? It's not a clock
Yeah.
on the game, but it's a pitch clock. And this is my only thing, is that like it depends on how it's enforced. If it's enforced like the shot clock in basketball, I'm not gonna like that. But if it's enforced like the play clock in football, I'm absolutely okay with that. Because I heard earlier this year on an interview, a referee specifically said, it was last year. Anyway, that's not important. The referee specifically said, NFL referee said, what we're supposed to do is watch the play clock, and then when it gets to 0, then we look to see if the offense is working towards getting the ball in play. If they're not, it's a delay of game. But if like you can see that they're getting ready to snap the ball in the next half a second, it's not a violation. And I think that's fine too. Is that if the pitcher is set and he looks like he's getting ready to lift up his leg and that clock has been down for a half a second, it's not a violation.
Let it go. Right.
Be a little bit more
I
loosey
agree.
goosey with it. Enforce it, but be a little loose with it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So violations on the pitch clock are thus: if a pitcher violates the pitch clock, it's an automatic ball in the count. If the batter violates the pitch clock by being out of the box or whatever, then it's an automatic strike. That's how they're going to tally it up. I think it's important to have consequences. Obviously, you can't institute a rule without instituting a consequence. I don't love that it's impacting the count. I don't know where else you would do it.
That's the thing.
I don't know why I don't love it. And it's going to be normalized very quickly. We're all going to get over it. And I see that being just fine. But right now, it does leave a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not sure why.
And this is, it's hard because it would be really hard on a full count and the pitcher takes a little bit too long and then he's walked, or the batter takes a little bit too long and he's out.
Yeah.
Like I can see that being a problem, but yeah, it's like you said, where else would you enforce it? I think that a balk with runners on base would be too much.
Too much.
That's too
Yeah.
much. Calling a runner out, that's way too harsh.
Yeah.
Right. So there's not a whole lot you can do as far as like any way else. The ball and the strike makes sense. Is it a little bit harsh? Probably, but in basketball, you lose possession of the ball. In football, you lose 5 yards.
Yeah.
A little bit harsh,
I know.
maybe.
I'm saying
them's the rules.
Yeah, and it will. I promise you, this is going to get normalized unless it gets violated all the time.
I think we're going to see a lot in spring training. I think guys are still going to be getting used to it, and we're going to see a lot of violations in spring training.
Yeah,
it's going to be really frustrating. But by the time they get to the games, I think that they'll be fine.
You think so? You don't think it's going to stretch into June?
Maybe a little bit, but it's not going to be rampant.
Okay.
Especially guys who have dealt with it in the minor leagues the last few years.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. See,
so that means maybe some teams it'll be harder for some teams than others.
I think you're right because of all the old school guys. What I'm worried about though is when we get to playoff race time in September and the pressure's up and they've called new guys up to fill holes or developmentally they're ready, whatever it is, like that's what I'm worried about when the pressure's really on and the stakes are high. So I wonder if they should take the pitch clock out for playoff games. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
But
no, because it's like we just talked about though. Like guys come up developmentally in June, July, even August. They're going to have dealt with it.
You're right.
This year, last year, maybe the year before. Whenever say that they were drafted in 2019 and they come up this year, they've been dealing with it ever since.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. So, I'm just nervous, Brad. I think is the problem.
We're always nervous with rule changes.
Yeah, I'm just the trepidation is real, but that's okay. All right, let's stay with pitching. pitchers will now have the opportunity to call their own pitches by using PitchCom, but in reverse, rather than having the catcher press a couple of buttons and send the signal to the pitcher's cap, which we've seen. Now the pitchers are able to wear a wristband and call their own pitches. I think this is brilliant.
I think it's awesome because I've heard of pitchers actually working out a set of signals with the catcher that the pitcher would send the catcher a signal, and then it's almost like a confirmation of like, is this what you
verify.
said?
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
And the catchers have had an earpiece this whole time.
Right.
Right. To make sure that the signal goes through, that it goes through the right thing that they sent. So really all it is just give the pitcher his PitchCom wristband and you're set to go.
Yeah.
So
I totally agree. I think this is great. I think there are a lot of pitchers who want to be in charge, obviously. And I like pitchers that want to be in charge. Like it's old school and that's where I land. So,
well, I don't think it's old. I think it's newer school than what we give it credit for because traditionally it's a catcher calling the game or the manager signaling to the catcher, right? Because that's what I was told growing up was that you're calling the game. Okay.
Yeah, but not back as far as like Nolan Ryan and that. Like
well, Nolan Ryan, it's easy. One.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
rule number one.
But who was calling the games for David Cohn, for instance? Was he was picking his own pitches,
Jorge
right?
Posada.
You think so?
Yeah, I think Posada and Girardi were calling the game for him.
Yeah, Posada for sure.
I know we might need to go back and read his book again because I think he mentions it in there.
I think he did.
I don't think he was calling his pitches though. Call him up, Brig. Let's find out.
Yeah, I'll call Dave. I'll call Coney. It'll be great. We'll get him on the show. He's been reluctant up to this point. I don't know why.
Maybe that'll be the tipping point.
He's just, I'll be like, dude, Coney, come on, man. We got to have this chat. All right. We might as well record it. We're going to talk about it anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll call him. All right. Yeah. So the bases, the next new rule is the bases have gotten bigger. Instead of being 15 inches square, they're now 18 inches square. The base paths, if you accumulate that and shorten it on both sides, they're 4.5 inches shorter. It's no longer 90 feet. And that, if you frame it that way, it hurts. But if you think about it,
it's 90 feet to the center of the bag still. Center of the bag to center of the bag. Or foul line to center of the second base bag is still 90 feet.
No, they moved it. No, those are the arguments.
Give you a geometry lesson.
I'm just saying those are the arguments I've heard. Thanks for clarifying.
So this is one thing I think is funny. Like looking at this, is that I'm going to make the same joke I made. What was it? 3 years ago when we started doing this show, and this was being kicked around as an idea. You're not going to notice a difference in the size of the bases. They're not going to look like pillows compared to what we had before.
Right.
Looking at them right next to each other, it is a stark difference. But seeing them on the field, they're not going to look enormous. It's fine. They're going to try to steal more bases.
That's what it is. That's what it is. More small ball, more aggressive base running. It's going to be great. Still 90 feet. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Brad.
Geometry, Brig. It's simple geometry.
All right, so there's that. New position player pitching rule. No longer, just kidding. It used to be that you could throw a position player out there on the mound if there was a 6-run differential at any point in the game. And you could pick pretty much whatever you wanted. It didn't matter who. You could bring Brett Phillips in and he could throw the ball or whatever. It didn't matter. Anthony Rizzo could trot over from first base. That'd be fine.
Yep.
Even Albert Pujols couldn't throw a pitch.
And Yadi Molina.
Oh, that was epic. Anyway, now you cannot use a position player to pitch unless the team with the lead must have a 10-run lead in the 9th. So it has to be in the 9th inning. The trailing team must have an 8-run deficit in any point. So depending on the situation, it's a little more clear-cut. I'm wondering whether or not you're going to have to designate guys eligible. Why did that not make it into the stipulations?
Right, because they kicked that around right before COVID hit in 2020. I remember we were talking about this, and with COVID, they're kind of like, well, we can't do that because we're limited. So throw that by the wayside, maybe shelve it. I think what they did is I think they revisited it and they were like, well, you can't really do that because what if a guy has already come out of the game because it's a blowout, or what if a guy is hurt? I think that they're just like, you can throw anybody, but I think it got a little out of control the last 2 years, honestly.
It did.
We have
It
position
totally
players
did.
pitching all the time. I was at the third game of the season, the Padres and the Diamondbacks, third game of the season, and there was a position player pitching in that game.
Yeah.
Like, that's really early in the season to have a position player out there.
Yeah.
So I think what it was, they were just over the top with it last year, and they're trying to reel it in a little bit and have these other stipulations, especially the team leading. Like, I think that makes sense. Like, you can't throw a guy out there unless you've got a massive lead the ninth inning and this game is essentially over. But even then, though, like, we've seen crazier things happen than that.
For sure. Well, and I think I like those anomalies. I think they're fun, obviously. But this is the closest thing to a mercy rule we've ever seen, and that feels progressive, right? That feels like they're trying. And you got to spare the arms. You just have to, because guys are going to start
at some point. Yeah,
the surgeries and the injuries and stuff. Those are real, and they impact everything. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, and you don't usually see the team that's up using the position player, though. I feel like because teams can still come back because momentum is such a dangerous thing, right?
It's
that if
fickle.
you have a position player out there and you have some guys that are like, let's wait on it and crush some balls and we'll cut into this lead a little bit. You cut a 10-run lead down to 6. That feels like a steamroller sometimes.
It can. It really.
I don't think we're going to see that so much as the 8-run deficit is going to be the change instead of 6, because I think the Dodgers threw somebody out there when they were down like 7 in the 6th inning or something like that.
Yeah, the 6th inning. Yeah, that's crazy to me, because then you're just giving up. You're just
exactly
at that point you might as well go home, and that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah. Yep,
so keeping it competitive is good. Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder what they're going to do with bullpen depth, though, if they're ever going to add another seat.
Well, they did a couple years ago. Remember, they went from 25 to 26, and that gave them an opportunity to bring in one more guy. And then when they started the season with 28, one of the things is like one of those guys could be a pitcher. Yeah. So I think that they're just going to keep things the way that they are as far as limiting the bullpen, because I think if you're like, 26 guys, it doesn't matter how many your pitchers are like, well, let's see here. We need 10 really on the field. Yeah. So let's go 16 pitchers. No depth on the bench. We don't need it. We're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. One of those pitchers can play first base.
Yeah, I was gonna say get a guy in the bullpen who's really athletic. We can put him at first base if we need to. But we just want arms. That's all we want.
All right, the last thing, and we've saved this for last because it's just gonna hurt everybody's feelings. But the ghost runner in extra innings is now permanent, not just through the 23 season, but forever permanent. Yeah. They're keeping it through, and this is a regular season thing, by the way. Keep that in mind.
It's still going away during the postseason and everything. And this is my only problem with it. Is like, I understand the purpose of the ghost runner. I absolutely understand that. I love that some people, by the way, call it the Manfred man. But don't do it in the 10th inning. Go play a couple innings, maybe after the 12th or in the 12th.
Yeah.
Don't do it in the 10th inning. That's too soon for me.
I agree.
Just because it feels weird. Kind of how you like swallow. Sometimes you get like a little crumb stuck in your throat. That's what it feels like to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, for me, it's more like a energy drink down the wrong tube. Like
drowning. Yeah.
Like drowning in fizzy, citrusy gasoline that makes me want to just.
You and I drink different kind of energy drinks.
I don't know what you're drinking. Mine are great. I feel great. I feel great all the time.
Great. I feel grand. I feel wonderful. I feel great. I feel wonderful.
Yeah. So that's what it feels to me. It's like, it's just awful. And I hate it. And I won't say never. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't think I'll ever get over it. I doubt that it will ever not be an awful, ugly, bitter taste in my mouth.
I'm curious how long it's going to be until I forget. Like, not forget that they didn't do it, but I guess it will remember that it's a thing. because I
Yeah.
still forget every single game. And when it goes into extra, it's like, what's that? Oh yeah, that's right. I remember.
Oh
now.
yeah, sorry. The Manfred
How
man.
how'd he? Oh, they put him there. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yep. No, okay. I'm done.
Anyway,
All right, baseball family, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about World Baseball Classic. The rosters are finalized in just a minute.
welcome back, baseball family. The World Baseball Classic rosters have been released. We're very excited because that means it's coming up, which means that we get to go to a game because that's what we're going to do. If you're there in Phoenix at the U.S. versus England game, come find us. We would love to say hello. Anyway,
Correct.
we wanted to go down some of the rosters. Let's start first with, we're going to start with Pool C with the United States. Okay, this is what we have. This is as of 4 days ago, so that would have been the 9th, February the 9th.
Yeah.
Okay, because we do know there's been a couple changes. We'll get there when we get there. Catching, we have JT Realmuto, Will Smith, and Kyle Higashioka. First base, Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt. Second base, only Jeff McNeil. Third base, Nolan Arenado, Bobby Witt Jr. Shortstop, Tim Anderson, Trey Turner. Outfield, Mookie Betts, Cedric Mullins, Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker, Kyle Schwaba. As far as pitching goes, we know as of today that Nestor Cortez is not going to be on the roster because he has a hamstring issue, which is a bummer. I was looking forward to maybe having a chance to get to see him, but
No kidding.
I don't think it was meant to be. But anyway, other than him, we'll have Merrill Kelly, Clayton Kershaw, Nick Martinez, Miles Mikolas, Brady Singer, Adam Wainwright, Lance Lynn, Jason Adam, Daniel Bard, David Bednar, Kendall Graveman, Kendall Graveman, Adam Ottavino, Ryan Presley, Brooks Raley, and Devin Williams. That roster is stacked.
It is filthy.
There's legitimately one team in this field that I think can compete with that, and we will get there.
Yeah, and it's not Great Britain.
Definitely not. Go ahead with Canada, Brig.
Yeah, I'm going to do Canada. Okay, position players on the Canadian team. Bo Naylor, who plays for Cleveland. Andrew Yerzy, catcher. He doesn't play anywhere. Except for the Canadian team. I'm just kidding. They have 3 catchers they're carrying. Bo Naylor, Andrew Yerzy, Kellen Deglan. First base, Frederick Freeman.
I'm honestly a little confused by that. Sorry,
Totally.
go ahead.
No, I'm totally confused. He just didn't get an invite by Team USA, so he decided to go back to his great grandfather or whatever is allowed, and that's how he got on the Canadian.
And I think he could have gone 2 more if he needed to, based on the rules.
It's like 1 billion degrees or whatever. Anyway, they're carrying a number of non-specified infielders that are interchangeable. Abraham Toro, Otto Lopez, Eduardo Julian, and Domino Palmegiani. Pretty sure I got that right. Then they're going to do outfielders in no particular order. Tyler O'Neill, Owen Casey, Jared Young, Denzel Clark, Jacob Robinson. All of the infielders and outfielders, Robeson. All of the infielders and outfielders are currently on Major League Baseball rosters.
Except for those 2 catchers. The 2 backup catchers are not.
Yeah, I said all of the infield and outfield. But yeah, the 2 backup catchers are not.
My bad.
Yo, good. Okay. Pitching, Nick Pivetta, Cal Quantrill, Matt Bush, Indigo Diaz. What?
Matt Brash. He's
Brash.
a Mariner. Come on now, Breg. You said
what did I
say?
Oh, Brash. You got me thinking about Monty Python still, apparently. Okay. Indigo Diaz, Felipe Almont. That's a French name if I ever heard one. Noah Skiro. I don't know what that is. Cade Smith, Curtis Taylor, Mitch Bratt, Rob Z, and Trevor Brigden. Those players are all in Major League Baseball systems in the teams. These following pitchers are not currently engaged with Major League Baseball. Andrew Albers, Adam Lewin, Evan. Whoa.
Good luck.
Rutckyj. I don't know. Evan's going to be there in the bullpen for Team Canada. John Axford, RJ Freur is going to be there. This is going to devolve very quickly. Scott Matheson is also going to be there. Thank you to RJ Freur for cutting out the first two names. I'm sure they were just as difficult. And just going with RJ is a triumph. So thank you.
Sounds like a quarterback name, to be honest with you.
I don't know what it is. Okay.
All right, Team Mexico. Team Mexico is going to have a pretty good team. They've got Alejandro Kirk and Austin Barnes as their catchers. First base, Rowdy Tellez. So excited to get in the World Baseball Classic. Joey Menendez. And then infielders, non-specified infielders, we've got Isaac Paredes, Alan Trejo, Jonathan Aranda, Luis Urias, Ramon Urias, and then outfielders, we got Luis Gonzalez, Randy Rosarina, Jaron Duran, Alec Thomas, Alex Verdugo, and Jose Cardona. Jose Cardona is the only one of that lot who is not on a big league roster. And then we also have pitchers, Julio Urias, Taiwan Walker, Jose Urquidy, Patrick Sandoval, Luis Sessa, Giovanni Gallegos, Javier Assad, Adrian Martinez, Erubiel Armenta, Alan Rangel, Jojo Romero, Jake Sanchez, Jesus Cruz, Roel Ramirez. Those are all big leaguers or part of a big league system. And then the following are not. You've got Oliver Perez, Samuel Zazueta. I like that. That's fun to say. That's
nice. Yeah.
Manny Barreda, Felipe Gonzalez, Victor Castaneda, Gerardo Reyes, Wilmer Rios, and Cesar Vargas. There's only one guy I have a question about with all this, and that's actually Randy Rosarina, because I thought he was from Cuba.
Yeah, I did too.
So it's interesting that he's going to be with Mexico instead of Cuba.
It's got to be a family thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we said, you can go back 50 generations and still be eligible.
Yeah.
I would have thought that Team Cuba would have actively recruited him to their team instead of letting him go to Mexico.
You'd think. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's go to Colombia. Colombia's position players consist of Jorge Alfaro, Elias Diaz, Mabrice Viloria, and Gustavo Campero. Those are all catchers. And they're all in major league systems. That's 4. That's a lot. Yeah. Then they will be sporting an infield of Gio Urshela, Dayan Frias, Evan Mendoza, Fabian Pertuz, and Jordan Diaz. Those are all big league system guys. The 2 infielders that are not are Adrian Sanchez and Donovan Solano. Of the outfield, they are carrying only 4 outfielders, and one of them is not in a big league system. Harold Ramirez, Oscar Mercado, and Tito Polo are all in the big league systems, but Jesus Mariaga is not. Moving down to Colombia's
for the record, just for anybody watching or listening, that is Tito Polo with 1 L. That was not Brig being a gringo. That is 1 L. It's not Pollo. It is Polo.
Thanks, dude. Yeah.
For the record, I just wanted to let everybody know that
you're the man.
Yeah, that was not you being El Polo Loco like people do.
Oh, okay. Watch me butcher something else now. Thanks. All right. Pitchers in the big league systems right now: Jose Quintana. There I go. Quintana, Julio Teheran, Nabil Chrismat. I'm sorry. This is terrible. River San Martin, Taylor Guerrero, Tehran Guerrero, Luis de Avila, Guillermo Zuniga, Ruben Galindo, Santiago Flores. Those are all in big league systems. And then they got a bunch of guys who aren't.
There you go. Maybe that's how we need to do this from now on.
Let's do it that way.
It's going to take a long time. Great Britain, this one's fascinating to me. Harry Ford with the Mariners is going to be there as a catcher, but they've also got Jamie Ritchie. Those 2 are big leaguers. The other big leaguers that Great Britain has is Trace Thompson, Chavez Young, and Matt Koperniak.
And Lucius Fox at shortstop.
Oh yeah, Lucius Fox as well. Pitching, pretty sparse as well. They've got Cameron Opp, Graham Spraker, Ian Gabout, Malik Binns, and Tanaj Thomas.
Mm,
Just a few guys. Great Britain. This is their first bid. This is their first time in the WBC. So
yeah.
I don't think they're going to be spoilers, but they're representing. So that's good for them.
Yeah, we're just glad they're there, honestly.
And I'm sure they're
It's
just
pretty
happy
cool.
to be there.
Okay, that's Pool C. Pool D. Oh, man, this is – okay, get ready for this.
Yeah.
This is the Dominican Republic's team. All right, check it out. Gary Sanchez, but not the one you're thinking of. It will be catching.
It is the Gary Sanchez you're thinking of.
I know,
It's just that he's
I'm
still a
teasing.
free agent.
I know, teasing you. He's just not in playing big league baseball right now because he's Gary Sanchez. Okay. I love that. I love it so much. All right, Gary Sanchez, Francisco Mejia, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Wander Franco, Gene Segura, Jeremy Pena. Oh, man, Jeremy Pena. Willie Adames, Manny Machado, Rafael Devers, Robinson Cano.
Don't you know?
Yeah, Teoscar Hernandez, Eloy Jimenez, Ketel Marte, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, and Nelson Cruz are all position players
Loaded.
for the Dominicans team. Okay, the team in the Dominican Republic. It's absolutely amazing. In addition to that, every single one of their pitchers is on a big league, is in a big league system. Okay, and check this out: Sandy Alcantara, Christian Javier, Johnny Cueto, Ronzi Contreras, Brian Abreu, Diego Castillo, Rafael Montero, Hector Neris, Gregory Soto, Genesis Cabrera. Wow. Enyel de los Santos, Ronel Blanco, Camilo Doval, Carlos Estevez, Harlan Garcia, Luis Garcia, Yimi Garcia. We're going to call him Joel. Joel or Joel Payamps and Cesar Valdez are all.
It's not even fair.
It's not even fair
for anybody else. Like, it's a good thing that Puerto Rico is in Pool D, or it would not even. That is a cheat code. That's a fantasy baseball team.
Well, yeah, and Venezuela's there too. So, aren't they? Aren't Venezuela in the same league?
I don't think it's the same level as the Dominican. Like Puerto Rico, let's go through Puerto Rico. Like, it's pretty close because they got Christian Vasquez, Martin Maldonado, MJ Melendez, Jose Miranda, Javi Baez, Francisco Lindor, Enrique or Kike Hernandez, Vimael Machine, Emmanuel Rivera, Edwin Diaz.
Whoa.
Not the one with the Mets in this case.
Right.
He will be there. Neftali Soto, Eddie Rosario, Henry Ramos, and Nelson Velasquez. Every one of those guys is a big leaguer. Yeah. And then going over to the pitching side, Jose Barrios, Marcos Stroman, Jose De Leon, Luis Quinones, Jonathan Bermudez, Edwin Diaz. There you go.
Sugar
Diaz. Alexis Diaz, Jorge Lopez, Emilio Pagan, Giovanni Moran, Yaxel Rios, Alex Claudio, Derek Rodriguez, Dominic Hamel, Dwayne Underwood Jr., Fernandez Cruz, Nicholas Padilla. Those are all big leaguers. Like, Puerto Rico is like a good team, right? Because they got a bunch of big leaguers, but it's not like, I don't feel like it's a fantasy team like Dominican is.
No, okay, I got to say something about this. Javi Baez is the only second baseman on the designated second baseman for this team. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other position players, but because Francisco Lindor is there, Javi Baez is on the second. He's listed as their second baseman. What I think is going to be really interesting is to see if this does something to reignite Javi Baez, because last time there was a World Baseball Classic, dude was electric, literally a highlight reel from start to finish. So if I hope that's what this does to Javi Baez, is this reignites something in him and we get old school Javi Baez and he becomes old school Javi Baez again, because that's the Javi Baez I need.
I think that's the Javi Baez we all need.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe he plays second base in March and they're like, the Tigers are like, oh, this might be what we need.
Yeah. Could be amazing. Okay, I'm going to move on to Venezuela.
Okay.
Salvi Perez, catcher. Omar Narvaez, catcher. Robinson Chirinos, catcher. The rest of the position players are Luis Arias, Jose Altuve, Gleyber Torres, Andres Jimenez, Eugenio Suarez, Eduardo Escobar, Luis Rengifo, Miguel Rojas, Ronald Acuna Jr., who no longer loafs, and Anthony Santander, David Peralta, and Miggy Cabrera as the designated hitter.
I do have to correct you on one of those.
you
Eugenio or Gino Suarez.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Very
Their
excited.
pitchers. I'm just going to go through the big leaguers because it's all but two. Luis Garcia, Pablo Lopez, Jesus Luzardo, Eduardo Rodriguez, Herman Marquez, Martin Perez, Ranger Suarez, Jose Alvarado, Brusdar Graterol, Jose Quijada, Silvino Bracho, Carlos Hernandez, Darwinzon Hernandez. That is a real name. Eliezer Hernandez, Andres Machado, Jose Ruiz, Max Castillo, Angel Zerpa, Andres, Bracino. I'm going to say Bracino. N. Manuel. Yeah, N.
Yeah, you're
Manuel
right.
de Jesus. Thanks. Jonathan Diaz. Thanks so much. Norwith Gudino, maybe. Those are all big leaguers or on big league systems.
Yeah. Venezuela does have a pretty good team. They're not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're as deep. That catching core is pretty deep though. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but
I'm not worried
no.
about anything. Some of their pitching is going to be interesting, but Martin Perez is there, Ranger Suarez is there. Luis Garcia. Whoa, Luis Garcia. Holy crap.
Yeah, I know he's a problem.
Anyway, he's a problem.
Yeah, but yeah, they'll have really good pitching. Israel, kind of an interesting roster. They have quite a few big leaguers, more than what you might think, but their requirements are a little bit different. Garrett Stubbs, Matt Mervis is an infielder. Garrett Stubbs, is a catcher with the Phillies. And other infielders, you've got Spencer Horwitz, Noah Mendlinger, Zach Galoff. And then your outfielder, surprise, Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson.
I'm glad that he's getting into the World Baseball Classic. Good for him.
Totally. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
With the pearls.
And then pitchers, I hope he has pearls. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, thanks.
Took me a second to register because he said at the same time I didn't hear it. But
sorry.
Yeah, that's good, though. I like it. Very good. Pitchers,
genuinely happy for him.
Dean Kramer, Richard Blair, Adam Kolarek, Jake Fishman, Robert Stock, Jake Kalish, Andrew Gross, Evan Kravitz, Jacob Steinmetz, Jake Bird, Josh Wolf, and Zachary Weiss are your big leaguers on the Israel pitching staff.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Nicaragua, and let's just talk about big leaguers. Of all the position players, Steve Layton
only guy
is an infielder. He's your guy who's in a big league system. The rest of the position players for Nicaragua are not. There are also three pitchers who are in big league systems who are going to be representing Nicaragua. That is Jonathan Loaizaga, Erasmo Ramirez, and Rodney Theophile. I said that. That's it.
Yeah. Kind of a second thought. Really, definitely a second or third tier team. You don't think of necessarily as Nicaragua as like a pipeline country like Venezuela or obviously the Dominican Republic. But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they'll show up and do something. It'll be interesting to watch.
You want to jump over to Pool A? And
I am on Pool A. I'm ready to go with the Netherlands. Are you ready for this, Brig? Because the Netherlands is a sneaky baseball country. I'll tell you that right now. However, they do only have that might be part of it, but I mean the Netherlands actually has a professional baseball league, so there's that.
Totally, they do.
So and that's kind of what I mean. But no, most of these guys are pretty sharp in Curacao though. There's 5 big leaguers. You got Chadwick Trump, Jonathan Scope, Xander Bogaerts, Josh Palacios, and Richie Palacios. Surprise! Xander Bogaerts playing with the Netherlands.
Surprise. Yeah, right.
And no pitchers, no big league pitchers on that staff.
Moving on to Cuba. This is so interesting to me.
Yes.
So Cuba is boasting 3 of their position players, and that's it. who are in big league systems: Yon Moncada, Andy Ibanez, and Luis Robert. That's it. 2 White Sox and a Detroit Tiger.
Is that Ibanez? Andy Ibanez?
Oh, Ibanez. Thanks. Did I say
It didn't have. It
Ibanez or
doesn't.
something
Yeah,
crazy?
it doesn't have the Enya, so I could see that. But I think that's
Ibanez.
Ibanez.
What did I say? I don't know.
I don't know. It's not. He's not a guitar. I'll tell you that. So he's not. It's not Ibanez.
That says you. Okay. He plays third base like a guitar. I don't know. That's a weird analogy. Okay. I don't even know what that means.
It's supposed to mean
That
something
should-
to me.
Put that on a t-shirt. He plays third base like a guitar.
I like that. Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pitchers pitching for Cuba that are big league system guys. Ronald Bolanos Cotto. Wow. Why do they all have so many names? Ronis Elias Lelibre
The Spanish
and
thing,
Miguel Romero. What did you say?
I said it's a Spanish thing. The 3 names.
Well, apparently it's a Cuban thing because none of them have done it until now.
Well, I
But
think
look at
it's
this.
more. I think it's more common with guys who have not necessarily left Cuba
That makes sense.
because I know it's common in Mexico and Spain and then like other Latin countries. Though it's the
Yeah,
same
but some
thing.
of
It has
these
to do
guys
with like
have
the
4
mom's
names.
last name and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know it has something to do with
Interesting.
like your dad's last name, your mom's last name.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Anyway, Italy, another sneaky baseball country. Did I say stinky or sneaky?
You said stinky, but we knew what you meant.
It's the congestion coming through late at night.
Yeah, it is.
It's a sneaky baseball country. I don't know. Maybe they stink. I don't know. We'll see. So position players on big league rosters: Vito Frischia, Dominic Moraglio, and Brett Sullivan. They're carrying 4 catchers.
Yeah.
It really is. That's strange to me. But maybe one of those guys is a utility player.
They're
And then-
probably Tito Francona's teams.
Yeah, there you go.
They're watching Tito. They're like, we need another catcher. Always. Just always.
Just in case. You never know.
His name's
Vinny-
Francona. He knows what he's doing.
Vinny Pascantino, and then Miles Mastrobuoni, David Fletcher, Nicky Lopez, Ben DeLuzio, Dominic Fletcher, and Sal Frelick. I would expect a guy named Sal to be on Italy's team.
It's a good one.
And your only pitchers, Matt Festa. You're going to get some of this, Brig. You're going to get this
Oh, yeah.
from Matt Festa when he pitches. That's what he does.
Does he really?
Yeah, when he closes out a game, it's this. Yeah, so good.
That's awesome.
And Andre Palante. Those are the only 2 big league pitchers.
Yeah, and for those of you listening, he did say it correctly. It's not Payante, okay? It's 2 L's. It's Palante.
I played enough Assassin's Creed that I know a little bit of Spanish. I know a little bit of Italy, Brig. Or Italy, I know a little bit of Italian.
He
I
knows
need to
a little
sip on
bit of
this.
Italy. He can
I
speak
do
a
know a
little
little
Italy.
bit. I know a little bit of Italy. I know a little bit of Italian.
Get the cannoli. Leave the gun.
Playing-
Take the cannoli.
Playing enough video games, you'll pick up on these things, Brig.
All right, Panama. Ivan Herrera is a catcher in the Cardinals system. He'll be the only catcher on the club. They're carrying, or on the team. They're carrying 4 catchers, but he's the only one in a big league system. Christian Betancourt. They say Bethencourt, don't they?
do
But
say
it should be
Bethencourt. It should be.
it should be
Bethencourt.
Betancourt in my mind. I don't know why.
I know.
Jose Caballero, 2 L's. Nailed it.
Good job.
Jonathan Arauz, or however you say that. LJ Jones with the win on the abbreviated name. Okay, that's it for big league system guys in the position for players for Panama. Pitchers, we've got Jaime Barria, Humberto Mejia, Paulo Espino, Justin Lawrence, Alberto Baldonado, Carlos Luna, Enrique Burgos, James Gonzalez, Javi Guerrera, and Wilfredo Perea.
I do think it's funny among all those names, you have a Justin Lawrence.
Yep. That's fabulous.
One of the Lawrence brothers pitching for Panama.
So good.
Okay, real quick. Chinese Taipei has 0 big leaguers playing on their roster. And I honestly don't know enough about Chinese baseball to tell you anybody to watch out for.
Same.
I wouldn't say that this is the team in this pool to look out for. Instead, we're going to head down to Pool D, And we're gonna look
B.
at. Oh yeah, you're right. It's getting late, Brig, and I don't even
It's
know
getting
how
late.
late it is for you. But
It's late.
Pool B, we got Japan.
Yeah.
Big leaguers on this team, obviously Godzilla himself, Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
Seiya
As
Suzuki.
the DH.
Yes, but he's also listed as a pitcher.
Yeah.
So we got Shohei Ohtani, Seiya Suzuki, Lars Nootbaar, and Matsuzaka Yoshida, who has just been added to the Red Sox this year. So those are your big leaguers on the Japanese roster. Then, in addition to Shohei Ohtani as the pitchers, you've got Yu Darvish, who just signed a 6-year deal. Sneaking some current events in there for you.
Unbelievable deal for him.
Big time.
After we thought he had fallen off the face of the earth when he left. So anyway, South Korea. The little KBO action here. You got Tommy Edman, Ha-Sung Kim, super duh. They have 3 shortstops, which is notable and baffling.
And only 1 second baseman. Somebody's going to move over. I bet
They've got 1 first base, 1 second base, 1 third base, and 3 shortstops and 2 catchers. Maybe they know something we don't.
So something interesting is that G-Man was going to play for G-Man Choi was going to play for South Korea, but he got pulled. I can't remember if it was the Pirates or if he decided to pull out on that. I'm not sure, but
I don't know. I feel like it was the Pirates.
I think it was.
Why don't you? So there's none of the pitchers for Korea's baseball team are in the big league systems. I'm gonna look up G-Man Choi while you're at it.
Okay, and we're in the same situation with because next we have Australia, no big leaguers, no big league pitchers. Czech Republic, no big leaguers anywhere on that roster. Nobody we know anything about for those guys. China, no big leaguers at all. So Japan is going to take Pool B.
Oh yeah,
big time. So I'm 99.9% certain it's going to be Japan and Korea and South Korea coming out of Pool B, and maybe I'll put the money on that. I don't know. We'll see.
You should. For those of you wanting to know, G-Man Choi was pulled by the Pirates due to a medical objection.
Fascinating.
And he is not happy.
Oh, really? Is that what they said?
No, he is quoted as being deeply hurt by the team's decision to submit a medical objection that keeps him off Korea's roster for the WBC. The restriction for Choi came after he underwent surgery on his right elbow to remove, quote, loose bodies that affected his on-field abilities last season. So he says he was healthy enough to take batting practice recently. I'm extremely disappointed and deeply hurt because I was building up nicely for the national team training camp in the middle of this month in the first round of the WBC. He says, regardless of sports, I think every athlete dreams of wearing the national team flag on their chest and representing their country. And I think he's right.
Yeah, that's what you've heard from everybody who's wanted to play no matter what team to this point.
Yeah.
I'm
sad for him.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Big time. Well, for those of you who don't remember, the World Baseball Classic starts on Tuesday, March 7th. We're a little under a month away. It's getting here. It's going to be on top of us before we know it because spring training is going to start soon. Games will start. And like I said, next thing we know, we're doing the World Baseball Classic. It goes for 2 weeks. It will be over. The championship game will be in Miami Tuesday, March 21st. If you're down there, I suggest you go. By the by.
Oh, I agree. Also, before we close it out, let me just issue a very stern sort of statement here. I will be taking my child out of school for opening day. Okay. All you in the comments section got all huffy telling me that the core memories were more important than whatever Common Core math or whatever was going to provide. I happen to agree with you. Okay. I didn't make that clear enough. Let me make it clear now.
I think that was editing that made that happen, Brig. So I will not do you dirty this week
It's all
with
good,
my
bro.
editing on shorts.
But I'm
go watch that on
clear
TikTok if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
Anyway.
because I got not lit up on TikTok, but boy, there were some people there that were like, "What?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
no,
There
no,
are some
no.
people who are very upset with you. Yes,
It's
indeed.
really funny,
Absolutely.
man.
So go follow us on TikTok at Baseball
Yeah.
Together. You can find us there. All kinds of fun shorts and stuff. But baseball family, don't forget that you can support the show by heading over to schnookseatery.com. Use code BTPOD to get 10% off. Support yourself, support your mouth, and support the show. All while you're doing it, because they are really the best seeds ever. We love them so much. But baseball family, don't forget also you can support us on Patreon. That is probably the easiest and the best way to support, because we have 4 tiers of support: $1, $5, $10, $15. But everybody gets the bullpen cut, which there was some pretty good stuff between segments. I felt like today that you would probably enjoy. So
I think
there's
so, too.
that. But baseball family, thanks again for joining us. We will catch you next week.